sitting down with a nation leading sophomore in the 50 and 100 freestyle out of the University of Tennessee. We're talking to Jordan Crooks. Jordan, you had a pretty massive meet at the Tennessee Invite. You were 18-2 in the 50 free, 41-2 in the 100 free. You had some pretty monster relay splits. You also had a 44-700 fly to add to that. How do you feel like the invite went for you as a whole?
I'm really happy with it. I think it was kind of exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be as fast as possible while still being able to perform at short course worlds, which I have in about a week and a half. And I'm really proud of the way we performed as a men's and women's team. I think it bodes well for SECs and NCAAs.
You kind of been on a tear this entire NCAA season. You've put up some really good suited times, some really good unsuited times. What do you feel like has shifted for you in training or just coming into this sophomore season, maturing another year in the NCAA?
I think coming off of NCAAs and SECs last year, I was able to kind of watch a lot of different techniques and the way people swim and looking at film over summer, a little bit of long course experience at Worlds. I think kind of fueled the fire to come back even better than before. I think we have a really good men's team this year, one of the best we've had in a while, and it's really fun and exciting to see what we'll be able to do this year.
Can you dive a little bit deeper into that? You looked at techniques, you were really motivated. What have you changed in training in terms of just the effort or the intensity you're training with, as well as technique for something as specific as a 50 freestyle?
Mhm. Well, so for technique, I in my 50, I worked a lot on distance per stroke, not taking as many strokes. So, for example, last year at SECs, I took 11 strokes on the first 25, and at Invite, I took seven. And I think training long course that helped a lot because I'm, not able to spin the 50 the same way you would spin it in yards. And I think that had a really big benefit. I think this year we kind of changed the way we train, and I'm doing a lot more stroke specific and event specific training. And I think that's really helped. And a lot of people are enjoying it so far, I'm seeing.
Yeah. Do you How far would you say you go in a week, or just what kinds of practices are these? Are these practices that are pretty low yardage generally, or do you still have some that are a little more aerobic?
We do have some longer practices like Monday. Mondays would usually be my longer days, and those are long course days. We'd be doing like 100 pace to 200 pace. But most of the days are a lot of drills, technique based stuff. Sometimes we do underwater work in the morning. We'll suit up sometimes, maybe twice a week, usually once, but sometimes twice a week. Like I suited up yesterday, and I'll probably suit up on Wednesday. So it's a usually not a super high yardage week. Like usually the weeks aren't super high yardage, but we do have at least 1 or 2 days where we're getting a lot of aerobic work in.
Mm-hmm. How did the suited swims yesterday go for you?
They went really well. I was pretty happy with them.
Nice. And so in terms of, you mentioned that the men's team and the women's team look really strong. You kind of had, a sprinting race partner in
Mhm.
Guy Carib, who's a freshman coming from Brazil. What do you feel like he's brought to your training specifically and getting to swim with him?
I think he's an awesome training partner. He's really talented, and I think he's going to do really well this year. He's one of those people that I can always count on to race in practice. Even if we're not in the same lane, I'll find him at some point in the set, and we'll be racing. And I really do enjoy training with him. Relays are been a blast this season so far with him.
Yeah, you guys seem to really show out on those relays. I mean, again, specifically in the 200 free relay, you guys went 115.32. You were a lead off of 18.2, and then Guy took it up in 18.6 on that second leg. So in the in that final session specifically, you were 18.2 on the relay, and then in the individual you won, but you were 18.6. What do you feel like the difference was between those two swims?
I think the swimming was somewhat the same. I had a bit of a wonky turn. My foot kind of went up in the gutter on the turn on the individual. But the swimming was essentially the same, 7 strokes down, 8 or 9 back, I believe. Just that kind of weird turn threw it off a little bit, but I was still happy with it.
Are there specific things you're doing to work? I mean, you mentioned getting your stroke count down.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's easier said than done, right? Because
Yeah.
you still want to be traveling at the same speed or faster as when you're taking 11 strokes, right? When you're spinning as fast as you can. What else? What do you do to get that stroke down count down in the water and outside the water as well?
So in the water at the start of the year, we did a lot of longer swims, just kind of counting strokes and being like really diligent on holding the same amount of stroke counts under like higher intensity. So maybe descending the effort, but holding the same amount of stroke counts. So descending from like a 200 pace to maybe 100 pace and not changing the stroke count. And outside of the pool over the summer, I worked a lot on just getting stronger in the upper body so that I could pull more water and not have to spin so much because part of the reason I was spinning, I think, previously was I wasn't strong enough yet to be able to hold that much water. So to compensate, I had to spin.
So then you mentioned short course worlds, which are coming up here very
Mhm.
soon. First off, when do you leave? When do you head out for this?
I leave this Friday, the 9th.
Okay. And so then you had the Tennessee invite, which was about 3 weeks ago now, 2.5 weeks ago now. How do you manage getting up and getting prepared to swim as fast as you can, as you said, at Tennessee invite, and then kind of coming back, or, having a month, and then trying to swim really fast again in short course meters?
I think just staying in process. I think in college we do a lot of dual meets, and so I kind of got used to having to not perform at the maybe craziest standard, but be able to, get it done back to back. Last week or last year, we had a couple meets back to back when I got back from Christmas break, and they were kind of tough because it felt like every weekend there was a meet. But from invite to short course worlds, I think I've had enough time to kind of decompress and get back into the flow of training. And I think I've been trying to kind of hold on to my taper and kind of, take it into worlds so I can still, perform at a level that I'd like to.
For you, what do you feel like the difference is from competing to on an NCAA stage, where you've already had a lot of success, to an international stage, especially one like short course worlds that is not that quite that major international long course platform?
It's definitely a little different. I think, in college you're representing your school, but at those meets you're swimming for your country. So I think it comes with a lot more responsibility. Because you're representing your country, but also, your name's still attached to the school. So at those meets I always try to perform to the best of my ability to be able to, leave a good impression, I guess.
Do you feel like it's harder to perform at one kind of a meet or another, be it NCAA or international?
I think it just depends on where I am in the season, mentally, physically. Um, I don't think any meet's easy. I think if it was easy, anybody could do it. But I try to treat them all the same. It's just a business trip. You go there, do what you got to do, and come back home.
Well, Jordan, I appreciate you sitting down and taking the time to chat for a little bit. Anything I'm missing? Any parting thoughts before we sign off?
That's about it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.